Survive the night.
Survive the night.
Oh God! What's that? Oh God! Survive the night.
Do you guys hear about what's happening with Fright Nights this year?
No.
It is happening, but there's not going to be any haunted house. They're changing the event to this thing called Hallowed Eves at Playland. So instead of haunted houses, there's still going to be freaks running around and stuff, and they're going to have fire.
Isn't that just like the regular people of Vancouver?
Yeah,
I would much rather do that. I went to the Potter's house.
I read about
That's
that
the
recently.
while ago.
scariest one, right?
I've never been so scared in my life.
Yeah.
That was the same experience for Robin and I. We went to a Man Farms, their haunted corn maze.
Yeah.
And it was fucked. Like, some of the buildings that you go into that they've built into the corn maze are literally pitch black. I think I told you about it.
Yeah.
You actually have to, like, feel along the walls to know where you're going. It's fucked.
I'll let
It
you
was,
know.
it was like, I'm not joking at all. It was like 2-3 hour wait to get in, maybe 5 minutes to actually go through it.
Right.
And by the end, like, I was shaking. I was so scared. That's the only haunted house I've ever done. I'm never doing another one.
I don't like them. I'm not a fan.
If you're claustrophobic, like, it's...
I
there's
am.
no-
And I just don't like, I don't know. This is why I also don't play a lot of horror video games.
Yeah.
It's just I don't like literally being the person that does all the things.
Sorry, I almost vomited.
Okay.
Careful, Ryan. Jeez.
Yeah.
My name's not Ryan. My name's Amir. Welcome to the 4th episode of Survive the Night podcast. Again, my name's Amir. I'm co-hosting with Ryan
Yes.
and Andy.
Meow.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
Today, we are going to be talking about a movie that is a movie called The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
It's a movie that's called a movie.
I remember at the time this movie came out, I was super excited about it because, I mean, you know, throughout time since The Exorcist, there have been various movies that focus on possession, but it seemed like that was the primary selling point of this movie. Obviously, the title implies it's about an exorcism. And I think, looking back, obviously we'll delve into the plot points and stuff. Overall, I feel like I was kind of disappointed by it because I figured it would be super focused on this exorcism, but a lot of the movie obviously focuses on this legal case. That
The courtroom drama.
Yeah, and the courtroom drama kind of pulled me out of the experience a bit.
When did this come out?
2005.
Yeah, I was definitely in my elitist
Teens?
phase.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I was in my teens, yes.
Yeah.
But I was also in my elitist phase.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you
when I
hated
saw it, I
everything.
was like, this movie sucks.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
So when I saw it, I saw the trailers for it and everything. I did not care to seeing it.
Even the trailers, eh?
No, I didn't.
Oh, wow.
I was just like, this doesn't look. I was just kind of tired of possession movies by that time.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that you would have.
I guess I just liked a lot of like
slashers
and
The Thing.
yeah, The Thing, and I don't know, monster movies,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
Maybe I was getting pretty elitist also, but probably not as elitist as Ryan at the time.
I was real bad.
And that's to your point. That's exactly why I was excited about it, because I was on the other spectrum of horror movies, which were more related to stuff like The Exorcist, and I was like, oh shit, this might be a worthy successor to The Exorcist. Yeah.
Unfortunately, you would probably have to wait until like the Conjuring movies came out.
True.
Unfortunately.
That's legitimately, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to bring up, though. Andy, what's your favorite style of horror movie?
It's so hard to say, but like I guess I like 80s.
I would say
Classic.
like 80s slashers.
I
You're a
like
big slasher
I like
boy.
slashers, but I don't know if they're my favorite. I just like, I don't know. I like a lot of monster movies also. If they have a really crazy creature with a lot of practical effects, that's usually my favorite.
For me, it's household horror. So, yeah, things that make me scared of living in a house, I guess. Things.
Taxes.
Yeah, movies
Bad
about
pipes.
taxes. That, honestly, though, so there's this, talking about bad pipes, I don't know if this is a movie we'll ever cover, but it was called I believe it's called Pulse. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
The
Japanese movie?
No,
Japanese
no.
or the American
The American
remake?
one. And that's about like basically the house comes alive and attacks
Oh,
this
yeah.
kid that lives in it.
Yeah.
And it fucking terrified me about my own house.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why movies like The Exorcist appealed to me was just because I guess the way I was raised with my brothers and stuff. Even I guess before being exposed to The Exorcist, I'd be scared of random things around my house, like hallways and stairs and stuff. And so for that reason, I guess those types of horror movies appeal to me.
Ryan.
I just huge soft spot for possession
Possession
Exorcism.
and found
Same.
footage.
and found footage.
There was a period of time where, I don't know if you ever delved into this, but on YouTube, if you type in like real exorcisms, there's a bunch of these videos that purport that they're real exorcisms that are super fucking creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to watch these videos on YouTube and just fucking, not be able to sleep because of how fucking terrifying they seem.
I have a great story. So I was in Toronto for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And the friend who I was staying at, we were hanging out, started drinking a little bit, and her boyfriend starts talking about how growing up his dad performed exorcisms. His dad was a carpenter by trade and did exorcisms on the side, like actual exorcisms. Growing up in India.
So your friend's a brown guy that was...
So yeah, he's actually from India, and yeah, he growing up his, like, for some reason a lot of the exorcisms and especially when it comes to, like, dealing with getting the demon out or whatever, it doesn't matter what religion it is, they're almost the same.
Was there a religion that he was performing them from the standpoint of? Did he mention that?
He didn't really mention it, but I don't know. It sounded pretty horrifying, and I believed him. Like, I believed that his dad tried to do these things.
Right.
I don't know if I actually believed
They're possessed
they
people.
were possessed.
Yeah.
But it sounded like a terrible way to grow up.
I have a sort of a similar story, and this is about my grandpa, who's no longer alive. But I heard stories not just from him, but from other relatives in my family that he was a very religious man and a Muslim guy, and he had reportedly performed spiritual cleansings on people, which I kind of interpreted as exorcisms
Yeah,
as
it's an
well.
exorcism, yeah.
Which is fucked.
My grandparents had a life-size little girl doll in their closet, and after I watched Child's Play,
Oh my
my friend
God.
showed me it, and then I tried to go to sleep, and I just stared at the closet.
Was it like a decorative thing?
No,
This
it
doll?
was just in a closet. It was a life-size little girl doll.
Why the fuck did they have that?
I don't know. Old people are weird.
Oh,
Oh no!
The new criticism is going to be like, can you go back to the sexual jokes? We're
Yeah.
tired of the old people.
So the exorcism of Emily Rose. A young girl dies under the care of her parish priest while attending college. Emily believed she became possessed. After...
Sorry, not to
You
interrupt
son
you.
of a...
That's exactly what you're doing, though.
That's it, actually. This is based off of a case from Germany with and I'm going to butcher this name probably, Anneliese Michael. I don't know, I think she was finished college at the time of the exorcism. I can't remember. She might have still been going to college. But yeah, basically this is what it's based off of, and it's closer than most movies based off a true story.
Yeah.
Because this
It
woman...
hits pretty close to everything that actually happened.
Yeah.
And I think going back to the intro of this episode is one of the reasons, I guess, why it kind of disappointed me was because they tried so hard to get it right, in terms of the historical accuracy of it.
I guess you had higher expectations too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So it's your fault.
of course.
Anyway, back to this. Emily believes she became possessed after medical care ceases to work. She turned to her faith. But I don't really think that they did much in terms of the medical stuff, did they?
In the movie or the real life?
Either.
Real life, she was on medication.
She was on
stuff,
medication,
and it
okay.
was helping, but it started to decline. And instead
Okay.
of going back, she was like, "I'll just go cold turkey." Or something.
Okay. So, in the care of her priest, she dies, and he goes on trial for her death. He is represented by a career-minded and driven lawyer who does not believe in God. Thus, in the story of Emily Rose, told by those in the trial and the priest who watched her through her possession, eventually the priest is found guilty, but at the recommendation of the jury, his time is already served. Kind of just went through the whole plot.
That's insane, by the way.
But yeah,
Now, a jury would be like, he's guilty, but I mean, he's already served his penance. So
Yeah.
I think it's fine. To loop back to the real story, almost the exact same thing happens. The priests that were part of this and the parents, they were all found guilty, but the priests only got 3 years probation. That's it.
What did everybody else get?
I don't think the parents got anything. I think the only thing that happened was the priests got probation. Nothing else.
he picked up like garbage on the side of the road.
I don't know what they do in Germany. It could be a lot worse than that. I don't know.
Sausages. Picked up sausages off the road.
A lot of sausages
Wow.
in Germany.
So some points of interest. I think the main one is like, for me, the movie is just okay. It's not. I don't know.
She comes from like a farming family in the movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they live
very
kind of like,
religious.
Yeah, like a kind of out of the way farm
Yeah.
kind of area. That stuff scares the hell out of me. So, a little side
Just
story.
like isolation.
Kind of. My grandparents that had the creepy doll, they built their house on a plot of land that already had a house there. This house was very dilapidated and terrifying looking by itself, and I lived in it for a while. And people kept saying it was haunted and stuff. Like, it was picturesque horror movie house. But if you're looking at the house and you turn 180 degrees, there's an old, dilapidated, massive barn. And that thing was terrifying. And I would always try and dare myself to go in there and see what was in there, but it scared me too much. Anywho, back to the show.
Well, come back to that for your creepy barn stories,
Yeah,
please.
please.
And did you see anything in there, or just the fear of your own imagination?
That's, like, for me personally, one, I only have very specific memories of stuff that
They're just all bad memories.
they're just all random.
Oh.
Like this, I can't really remember too well. I just know I was very, very scared of it because I was so young and my imagination would go crazy. Like, we didn't live in the other house for very long, and I know I used to stay with my grandparents all the time, and every time I'd walk by that house, there was always a fucking doll up in the very top attic window, too. Like, it's a terrifying house.
Do you know if that barn is still there?
Now, like, they've passed away. I haven't been
Where's
there.
the doll? Who inherited the doll? Ed and Lorraine
I think
Warren.
it was a Chucky doll, too.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure it was a Chucky doll.
Fuck?
Yeah.
Oh.
What the fuck is wrong with your grandparents?
Well, they owned the land and that house, but they didn't live in that house.
Oh, I got you.
He
Okay.
had built his
Okay.
own wood log house.
Well,
This
that's
one was just
weird.
there.
Yeah.
Like, quintessential, like, had the screen door that was kind of broken. You go in,
Oh.
and
What region was this in?
up north?
Okay.
Kind of
Northern
near Prince
BC?
George. Yeah. Has the kitchen there with the real old appliances. Had a bench style dinner table. Then you'd go into this tiny little living room that was like gray carpet. And then you go up some stairs and it's just a straight hallway to a room and 2 rooms on the side. Like, very, like,
Yeah, that hallway. Just
picturesque
Imagining that
horror.
hallway creeps me out.
And then, yeah, the doll in the attic window, which I had never been up to.
It just owned the attic.
Could have, I don't know.
Back to the movie. There's one part. Okay, sorry to skip ahead here, but like the movie's kind of just based into 2 parts. The present, which is the courtroom drama of him, you know, or the lawyer defending him, and then what do you call it when you look into the past?
Flashback?
Flashback. So the flashback is just showing what happens to Emily.
Yeah, that on that note, that was one of the things also that I found to be a struggle with the movie was I don't think they layered the two different stories they were trying to tell very well. I feel like once, I might be remembering incorrectly, but like once you're sort of getting into the flow of things with what's happening with Emily, it kind of, abruptly takes you out of it and now you're back in the court and like, oh fuck, I want to see more Exorcism.
I watched it recently and like, I definitely would say it's the best possession courtroom drama they've done, but I think it's the only one.
It's like, wait, what? How many of these have they made?
Anyway, yeah, it is kind of, you kind of just wish it was just the one.
Yeah.
Like, it was just showing, you want it just to be a straightforward possession story.
Yeah.
But once the movie starts to get rolling here, and Emily starts to get possessed, she starts like to contort her body a lot. And there's one part where she's in college, and her friend, she's scared. She's hanging out with her friend, and then when her friend wakes up, Emily is on the ground and her body is like just all contorted, but her eyes are open.
May I jump in here?
Yes.
The actress, Jennifer Carpenter,
yeah.
that was all her.
Really?
She was contorting. She was able to do this stuff.
Okay, she's so good in this movie. If anything has come out of this movie, it's that she's a great actress.
Well, she had a fantastic stint in horror movies for a little while. Then,
and
right?
Dexter. She was in Dexter.
Yeah. She was in White Girls.
Oh, and she was in the American version of Rec, Quarantine.
Yeah.
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 And White Girls.
Yeah, the scariest movie of all time.
It's pretty creepy. White Chicks.
Damn it.
What did you say?
White Girls.
Oh, who cares?
That's it. I'm off the podcast. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Good seeing everybody.
Bye. Oh, he's back. So yeah, when the friend like goes to like tries to comfort her or like figure out what the hell is going on, she opens her mouth and a demon screams, and that part scared me. I'm gonna say that part.
What if it was just like she opens her mouth? She was just like.
That would take me out more than the courtroom drama.
I would say that I think most of the scenes that focused on Emily were pretty creepy to me.
Yeah, if that was the whole movie, I think we would enjoy it more, I think.
Is it further down the line when she's at school and she's seeing stuff?
Yeah, it's around that time when, yeah, she's walking around.
And, like, people's faces are...
So, yeah, this is a trope, definitely a horror trope back in the early or mid-2000s, where everyone, if there was a demonic presence, people's faces would go pitch white, and then black goo or something, or their face would get elongated. This would happen a lot in horror movies at that time.
So, I need to touch on that because in our first episode, we talked about our experiences, with hauntings.
I mean, you saw something similar to that.
After my experience, that was very similar to yours, where you had that experience of grief. For, again, about a month after that, I would look to people that I knew, like my relatives, and their faces would be pitch white, and it would terrify me. So I wonder if there's something to them depicting it that way.
I battle with insomnia quite often, and when it gets really bad, I get auditory and...
You get hallucinations?
Yeah.
Mm.
Of both seeing it and hearing it. So, like, that stuff kind of hits me a bit. Like, when I was younger, it would scare the crap out of me, because the main thing I would see is I would always see, like, a woman in a white gown at the corner of my eye.
Why haven't you brought this up before?
Because it's because I'm tired.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I mean, you might, because you're so sleep deprived,
Yeah.
I wonder if you're sort of balancing between the state of wakeness and, like, maybe sleep paralysis.
Because when I was young, it didn't happen too much, but when it would, it scared the shit out of me. Because I hear my name called constantly.
Oh, God.
And it used to scare me, but as I got older, I'd be like, I'm just tired and I'm saying things. That's it. I really became, like, the quintessential, like... guy who doesn't believe in it in the movie and then just gets bodied.
Well, there even is real kind of weight to that, because you guys have probably seen this, the demon sitting on the chest thing when it relates to sleep paralysis. Apparently a lot of people experience that. So.
Well, it got, like, to points so severe from being so tired that I would actually go searching for what the hell was like. It would sound like something whispering right in my ear, or I would be like, I swear I just saw somebody walk by me.
I don't like that.
No, me neither.
It's fine. I'm fine.
Stay away from me and my family.
I'm a very normal, well-adjusted human being.
No
Problems over here.
One of these days we're going to be recording and that cupboard's going to open up and slam.
Oh no!
We're never going to do another episode again.
Obviously, no one can see this, but there's a giant cupboard in
It's
the
kind
room.
of creepy too.
It is a very creepy cupboard. Is it Sarah's cupboard?
It is, but it's full of my VHS. So
Okay.
if somebody slammed it, I'd be like, ghost coming in here, slamming cupboard with my VHS tapes in it?
Anyway, so there's another part where, Emily is seeing all these faces, these demonic faces, pale faces. They're just on normal people, and they're all like, what the fuck is wrong with this person?
Sorry to stop you again, but I did want to kind of like just say, like, this stuff, although I didn't really like the movie at the time, I might appreciate it more now, because that stuff is like very common, especially for like schizophrenia or like people with certain types of epilepsies, or like I said, if you're too tired you see stuff.
Oh yeah, no. When I was watching it, all I was thinking of was people dealing with harsh mental illness.
And this is what she was being diagnosed for in the real life. What
Yeah,
she was,
she I have it
she
right
was seeing
here.
she was seeing the faces in real life too.
She experienced like epileptic seizures and was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy.
Which is interesting because the temporal lobe is the first thing that they suggest in The Exorcist that is affected.
Really?
Yeah, right in the temporal lobe.
So yeah, that's happening quite often, and yeah, there's just regular people just are they're super confused as to what's going on with this girl.
It'd be kind of funny if she was going through all these people's faces are changing and she says one, she's like, oh my god, so ugly, but like the person's face hasn't changed.
Oh.
And you're just like, hey, fuck you too, man.
I didn't really put too much down for like the courtroom stuff because
Nothing really happens.
nothing really happens. It's just the priest defending himself or like random witnesses.
Am
that
I?
were there.
There's a very good chance I'm misremembering, but did she the person, woman lawyer, right?
Yes,
That was
just a lawyer.
Yes, but I wanted to say the lawyer. She was she experiencing anything?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she was being haunted throughout the movie because she was getting too close to the actual.
Which I think that was a part that just kind of threw me off the movie because I was like, why? You're just adding this in for extra kind of.
Yeah, did that have any truth in the real story?
Talk to him.
No, there was nothing like that at all. The biggest thing from the real life cases was basically just that she was getting better, and then I don't know if like something happened or her meds stopped working as well, and she just went off them, and then her specific hallucinations and stuff had mostly to do with like crosses and religious figures and stuff, and they basically just kind of like starved her and kept her dehydrated and basically just let her die.
I'm seeing the actual pictures here.
It's terrifying.
Yeah,
It's
if you get a chance, Google. I mean, if you're brave enough to do it.
I might put them on the Instagram just to
we
spook
should.
people. But
and I think there might be video of it as well.
I know there's definitely sound of it, so maybe here, right now, I'll embed a clip of some of the sound. But be warned, it is fucking terrifying.
please keep that in.
I was about to be like, okay, and whoa, scary.
I wasn't expecting Amir to be giving us his best impression of E.T. running through the maze.
Ja, du hast der Bischof von Würzburg zu sagen, dass es ihre
The other thing with the pictures of her, it looks like she was beaten. Like she's got
Oh, yeah.
black eyes and stuff,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happened.
That is a big part of some of the exorcism stuff, is like really
Physical
physically
abuse.
trying to get it out, or not just that, but like the I'm gonna say patients, the people who are sick, will start doing stuff to themselves, like the contortion and all that stuff.
So yeah, like, to talk about that, like throughout I guess it's part of the exorcism when they get to that part, so they try it a few times in the movie. Like the first time, she is like scratching the walls with her, with her nails, just bleeding everywhere, and then she's speaking Arabic.
I fucking hate finger and toe stuff in movies.
Yes.
I hate it when they hurt their fingers or toes, their nails. It gets me at such a deep level.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that freaks...
It hurts me too, because...
That, like, freaks and grosses me out, is that stuff.
Eye stuff kind of bothers me.
I can see somebody being, like, ripped open and all that stuff, but the moment something's stuck under their nail or something, I'm done.
How about you?
Not really.
No.
I was recently playing, I forget what game it was, but it might have been God of War, where you're actually, I'm sorry to describe this in such detail, where you're actually like pulling the top of the nail off of the finger.
Oh, with the giant or something.
Right, it's the giant, yeah, and that doesn't really bother me.
Oh, that bothers me. Anyway, she's scratching the wall, she's hopping up and down erratically, speaking Arabic, and then she attacks her father and then the priest, like scratches them in the face.
So, we haven't really done this in this episode yet, but put yourself, I guess, maybe in the shoes of a parent of this person. I guess we're at that point now where we've already involved, priests in the matter. Is there a point now where you intervene and like, okay, this needs to stop because clearly this isn't getting better. Maybe we should just put her in an institution.
I would just do that but clearly they were a very religious family, so like that doesn't make any sense to them.
Yeah, true.
The exorcism makes the most perfect sense for some reason.
But to us woke people.
Okay. Yeah. And see, that's the thing, because we're talking about, this was at the 70s?
The real one happened, in the 70s.
In Germany.
Yeah, they did the rites in 75.
And like, again
in the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, that's... might want to look this up just to make sure, but I think that's roughly around when, like, the Satanic Panic and stuff was happening too, right?
The Satanic Panic.
Later 60s, maybe early 70s, and it was...
I think it was more, it was a huge thing, because everyone thought everyone was getting possessed.
And completely fake.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like it started in around 1975, as you said, Ryan. Which is interesting because around the same time The Exorcist actually came out, which was a worldwide phenomenon. But again, going back to this our real sort of putting ourselves in their shoes in the 70s, as we discussed earlier, the advances that we have now in mental health and understanding of diseases and stuff, we wouldn't have had then.
No.
So, I guess, I wonder if there were tons of cases like Annalise Mikkel's that were going on that weren't as publicized.
And like, so you'd either go the route of the exorcism, which is, still a lot of abuse.
Or medicine.
Or
you put them in an institution
where there's going to be abuse too.
Incredibly bad at that time.
So there's no winning scenario for this person if you are in the position of a parent.
I would probably be like the priest, so she would scratch me, and then I'd be like, okay, so we're throwing hands now. I'd take my collar off because I'm not going to be rude to Jesus.
And then you'd fuck her.
Wow!
That's for the Pope.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, I know we weren't supposed to go there, but just couldn't help it.
No, but as the father, honestly, I can't even imagine what I would do. You'd be so distraught seeing your daughter like this, right? Or your child.
Just throwing hands, throwing punches here.
That's fascinating though, because I never even thought about that, the two sides of the same coin idea in terms of, religion or medicine.
Yeah, they both sucked back then.
And then, and especially the medicine side, because a lot of it would have been so experimental. You could almost argue that there's more history behind fucking exorcisms back then, As scary as that is.
The thing about it, too, is, at least for the actual account of what happened, she was doing better when she was on the medication. And then I think she had, like, a slip. Again, I don't know exactly if
the medication, they stopped... In the movie, they stopped taking it because they said that the medication is blocking pathways for the exorcism to work.
So, what it says on the Wikipedia page, there it does sort of allude to what Ryan had said, that sometimes she took less than what she was prescribed,
Yeah.
and then to make up for it, they would take more.
Oh, that doesn't work.
No.
No,
It
and
can actually have the opposite
That
effect.
can
for a lot
kill
of
you.
stuff.
That can
Yeah.
kill you. Yeah.
that's what it alludes to happen, and it suggests it could explain the decline in her behavior and her mental state.
This doesn't have anything to do with this, but if you can, go watch the documentary Mommy, Dead and Dearest, because that's about Gypsy Rose, I think is her name, and her mother basically said she couldn't walk, couldn't do all this stuff to get all this attention, and you find out it was all fake. And she was just doing it for the attention, and made her daughter take stuff for like being paralyzed and all this other
Right.
stuff, and it actually causes you to have the symptoms as if you actually were
Oh my god.
whatever you were diagnosed.
That sounds.
Definitely
more-
go watch that.
That sounds
It's
more
crazy.
fucked up than this movie.
It's pretty messed up, but like that's what happens if you take more than you need, right?
Movie time. So again.
So white chicks, right?
Oh my god.
So they do a dance battle, and it is fresh. Back to you.
Now with the weather. In this movie, again, they go back to like the courtroom scenes or when the priest is in his jail cell, and they really want to start tying in things like in the present day. So like the priest sees like dark figures and like, you know, he sees demonic presence wherever he's being held or whatever. And then one of the like the main witnesses, which was the doctor that was present at her exorcism, he's supposed to show up and say that all this stuff happened, and he was supposed to be their key witness. And he didn't show up because he was too scared to show up. And then when the lawyer goes to like say, "Oh, why didn't you show up?" He is hit by a car and is killed. Fuck. And after that, there's barely no mention of him afterwards. There's no investigation of why he was hit by a car. It just shows that he's hit by a car, and then the lawyer briefly says, "Oh yeah, your key witness, yeah, he was killed," and yeah, there's no really like full investigation as you know why that happened. It's just like a minor plot point. I thought that was really funny, to be honest. I hate you.
Have we passed the parts where she's fucking in a demonic craze in like the barn area outside?
That's around the same time.
I found that to be terrifying, especially when she starts like chanting names of like different other demons or figures
She's
in
speaking
Christianity.
And
Yeah,
she's like,
Yeah.
Pepsi, Coke,
yeah,
Mountain Dew, Dr. Pepper.
yeah,
Doritos.
basically, but not that. And yeah, I still remember that so vividly.
And then there's like that kind of like dream scene that she's having while she is possessed, where there's like, it's on the cover of the movie where there's like that tree and there's the fog,
yeah.
and she goes up to like this barbed wire fence. Or no, in the dream she has like her hands are like bloody, like almost like stigmata.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's showing her going up to like the family fence and like cutting herself on the barbed wire fence surrounding the farm. So yeah, there's like some visions that she has.
I really didn't like how the movie kind of tried to portray it as like, religion, like Jesus
religion.
will win against this.
Yeah, like it was a very pro-religion.
Because I don't really remember the movie that well, but like doesn't she basically just like sacrifice herself just to get it over with?
In the movie?
Yeah.
Yes, she basically just gives in.
Yeah.
And then that was basically it. And then the priest is given a guilty verdict, but because it's a movie, but this also happens in real life. Yeah. He's deemed like, oh yeah, you're fine. Just do some probation or
To show how like obviously I'm sure people know how big the reach of the church is, but especially in the 70s with the Satanic Panic and all this stuff, the two priests that were wanting to do the exorcisms begged the bishop and finally got the go ahead to do them, but in secret. Don't tell anybody. So they did this. They did this for 10 months in secret, and
keep it on the DL.
after her death, the 2 priests and I believe the parents, like I said, were found guilty of negligent homicide. They were originally sentenced to 6 months in prison, but were given 3 years probation. Like,
so the parents were also...
I believe so.
Oh, so yeah, they don't even... In the movie, they don't even touch on the fact that the parents were involved.
And they had a fine. So basically, it was like, oh, you let a woman die. Here's a slap on the wrist. Don't do it again, okay?
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it with the other children.
Okay, you can do it with the other children.
And I think a reason for that would be like, how do you confirm that there was malicious intent behind this? I don't even know anything about the priests themselves or their track records.
So, later investigation into it determined that she was malnourished. Mm-hmm. She was dehydrated, and they were in charge of like making sure she was at least drinking water or something, right?
Just need that sweet Mountain Dew.
And it was very unusual to have the exorcism okayed at all.
Just needed Ed and Lorraine to show up, bust that open. Okay, that's all I got.
I don't know if you guys know that a year later there was another movie about it called Requiem.
No.
It was a German film. I'm just reading about it now, and apparently it was very well received critically, as opposed to The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And apparently it's a great film, and I'm really interested to see that now.
The director of Emily Rose, Scott Derrickson, he also did Sinister, Deliver Us from Evil, and Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I like him as a director for a lot of the things he's done. He also did something else before this too, right? Oh, he did, wasn't it one of the Alien movies or something? Or
sure. He chose Paul Harris Boardman as his co-writer because he was a skeptic, whereas Derrickson was a firm believer and a Christian, and he thought those two ideals would play off each other.
But by the end of the movie, the skeptic versus the believer, they're like, oh, we're all one and the same. We're both believers by the end. Yeah.
It's always like, believer wins, and I made a believer out of you.
Yeah. Yes. Rejoice.
The other thing about the real story that visually just fucks me up is just the comparison between Annalise when she's normal versus when she's during the exorcism.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember exactly, but they said she lost like an insane amount of weight, and you can tell in the pictures.
Yeah, when she was dead, she weighed just under 70 pounds.
My God.
They wouldn't let anybody see her when she was going into, I believe, the cemetery and all that stuff. They kept like everybody away, wouldn't let anybody see any of it.
Do you have info about the fire?
There's a fire?
So apparently in 2013... so on June the 6th, 2013, the house where Annalise lived caught on fire. The local police said it was a case of arson, but locals attributed to something to do with the exorcism that took place there.
Again, that could be...
It could be anything.
That could have been anything.
I just really like that the police or firemen are like, yeah, that was arson. Like a local comes out and be like...
No, exorcism.
It's fucking ghosts, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hey guys!
Ghosts with matches.
Like in so many other horror movies of this nature, exorcism, possession, and stuff, people were reporting odd stuff going on, such as their TV turning on in the middle of the night. Carpenter reported her radio turning on in the night and waking her up. This stuff is kind of like...
It could just be stuff to be like, hey, this is how the movie... Like, this is how I'm going to promote the movie.
But it's also like, it's electrical stuff. This stuff can happen.
Yeah.
I know Sarah will get freaked out about random stuff, like a light she says is on, even though it's like that flicked on randomly when I'm like, pretty sure you just turned it on, you just forgot.
I have a story kind of related to this. I don't know if you can attribute it to anything electrical, but my brother used to live in the basement of my family home, and I used to go downstairs and hang out with him a lot. And he used to complain about all sorts of weird, creepy things happening in the basement. Somebody had actually died in that basement. But the stuff that he was describing, like he would say that he was sitting on the couch watching TV and he'd hear children running behind him. He smoked a lot of weed, so I don't know if he was just high. But anyway.
I was going to say, I was like, this is starting to sound like a shot for shot of the Amityville. What are you talking about?
He did some weed and a little bit of peyote and a little bit of mushrooms.
But one day I was downstairs and we had just gone into his basement and he turned on the TV. I don't remember what we were watching. It wasn't scary. TV was on.
White chicks.
It could have been, for all I remember. And then the volume starts increasing, and it goes all the way to the max. And we look around like, I think he's fucking with me or something. And the remote's just on the floor. And it was just, weird. I'm sure it could
I've
have
had
been
that happen to me several times. I've also had that happen to me while I'm driving in my car.
And your car radio
My
starts
car
volume.
will go all the way up. I'm pretty sure that's just an electrical problem.
Yeah.
But, like, when it happens, you're like,
Yeah.
can I help you? Like...
Yeah, as a child, I'd be like, there's demons in here. But as an adult, my first
is playing.
But yeah, as an adult, I would just be like, something could have been wrong with the wiring, something like that. Like, it could be so many different things, right?
One thing that's kind of interesting in terms of just exorcisms in general in Germany, apparently because of this case, the support for or more sanctioned exorcisms actually decreased after this case. So less people, I guess, returning to priests to help their mentally ill relatives, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more on this. I would recommend the listeners to go look up the real story behind it. It's super interesting and sad.
So if you want to be intrigued, but also depressed,
it's crazy how far we've come for treating people with mental illness, as opposed to, like, we're not great, obviously. No. But, like, compared to the 70s, even just the 90s, like, anything down there,
yeah,
it's pretty rough.
Get help. Get help if you need it.
If anybody else has any fun facts about it, we'd love to hear from you, because that's really all I could really find on this.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us on the 4th episode of Survive the Night podcast, where we've discussed the exorcism of Emily Rose. On the next episode, we're going to be talking about Paranormal Activity, right?
Yes.
Probably our last possession movie for a while.
Yeah. If you want to follow us on social media, our Instagram is s.t.n_podcast. On Twitter, we are at STN Pod. And if you wanted to send us an email, it's survivethenightpodcast@gmail.com. I'm Amir, co-hosting with Andy and Ryan, and we will talk to you in the next episode.
Bye.
Die Köpfchen in der Soße und